former LSU wide receiver Kayshon Boutte turned himself in and was arrested in East Baton Rouge Parish after an alleged betting scandal. Now, let's start off with this. Everything and everybody at any given moment is given due process. Said the same thing when Sharon Lewis said that LSU, and you know it by now what Sharon Lewis did, all the stuff that she did and she said that happened at LSU that, by the way, not only got thrown out in federal court or state court, but federal court as well. But this is a little bit serious, in my opinion, for LSU, or could be. So I'm going to read this. It's a little bit lengthy, but stay with me just in case, and we'll do this to give context, just in case people have not heard or read what has happened. But Kayshon Boutte allegedly created a name of a fictitious female, Kayla Fortenberry, to create an online gaming account with FanDuel. He also used his mother's credit card to fund the account that you use on FanDuel where you can place bets. Some of you aren't really into gambling. You don't know how it works. Basically, you create an account. You got to give social security number and all this other kind of stuff for you to qualify to use the app. You have to give your birthday, and sometimes I think you got to even give ID. I don't even remember how you log in, but I know that you got to give your social security number, and you have to give a credit card, or not even a credit card. You do got to give that too, but an ID of some sort. And mainly because for tax purposes, that's why you have to do it. And you have to do it to see if you're just legal and you're able to do it. First off, with what I just read, shame on his mom for allowing that to happen. That's one thing that we'll talk about too. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she did know. I don't know. But she had to have known when it was going on her credit card. But 17 wagers were made on NCAA football by Kayshon Boutte, which included 6 of them regarding LSU football in between the dates of August the 28th, 2022 and October the 9th, 2023. The warrant states of those things inside or that he betted on with LSU football. We talked about the 6 of those wagers being with LSU, including one where he did bet on himself in the LSU game in 2022 versus Florida State. Boutte allegedly placed one bet that he would personally score at least one touchdown in the game and another bet that he would score have over 82.5 receiving yards. According to the warrant that was issued by the Louisiana State Police during 2022 and 2023, Kayshon Boutte deposited a total of $132,147.53 into his account. Remember that. Boutte won a total of $556,000 roughly, but used most of that money to make additional bets. He only withdrew around $50,000. Here's what I'm going to say on the Kayshon Boutte thing. We'll talk a little bit about LSU and what could possibly happen with them. Number one, I do feel a little bit bad for Kayshon in the sense of I just don't know if anybody or someone was guiding him in the right direction. I know Brian Kelly tried publicly when even at times when we were at practice and Kayshon would be getting frustrated about something in 2022. But when he did get injured against Kentucky in 2021, when Ed Orgeron was still here, I do think that things for him started to spiral. But just because things started to spiral does not mean that his actions don't have consequences. Again, due process has to play out here. Allegedly, all of those things happen. We'll have to see how it all plays out. One thing that we didn't read in that affidavit was that he had a username on his account on FanDuel that was at Kayshon Boutte 01. I mean, come on. Like, right? Like, dude, come on. But I got to say something because I do think this regards the current state of Brian Kelly and LSU. Brian Kelly, from the media, took a lot of criticism on Kayshon Boutte. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Kayshon refused to go to rehab after his injury. I'm old enough to remember that he was technically suspended 2 games last year. One, I would assume that was, it was the birth of his child, but I would assume that's a game that LSU used that he got suspended on. But I don't know. But regardless if of the games or when it was or when it wasn't, Kayshon Boutte did not play in 2 games in 22 after the jersey signing scandal that kept guys like Mason Smith out in the beginning of the game or beginning of the season last year against Florida State in Orlando. That's 2. Not really necessarily threatening, but I was at the press conference that when Kayshon said that, yeah, he had talked to Alabama or had thought about going to Alabama and transferring when Brian Kelly came in. There was a lot of people out there talking about during that time frame that LSU was behind in NIL. They didn't have anything going. Kayshon Boutte's on his, already got a foot out the door. He's leaving. And look, I took a lot of criticism on this, and a lot of you that are normals in here every night know I said let him walk. Because there were just so many things. Like, guys, he wasn't even trying to better himself by going to rehab. Now, the potential first-round pick, I get maybe he thought he lost a lot of money, couldn't get back to where he was. I get it. But some of these bets were placed at LSU football ops. And not only are you putting yourself in danger, not only did you create chaos for yourself and your team and your teammates and coaches when you were doing all those other things, okay? But you've been a little, he was and had been a little bit of an issue. He had some situations that I would assume, I hope, that maybe in the future that he looks back on and says, I should have never done that. Now, I would be surprised if the NFL doesn't release a statement, if the New England Patriots don't release a statement, and I'm sure he's cut and will never play another game in football ever. I highly doubt Kayshon Boutte ever plays in the NFL again, and that is a shame. How did he get $132,000 though? When he was in college? You mean to tell me that a 21-year-old kid had $131,000 lying around? Now, NIL is a prevalent thing. But how can LSU be so far behind when you're leading, or at the time, what you thought was the best player on your team? How did he have $132,000 in cash laying around to go put into account at FanDuel? And then what's even crazier, I bet my man actually won a lot. My man turned a serious profit. Here's the biggest thing for me. Because against Florida State, now we got to find out what happened here. I'm sure we will find out soon enough. Let me rephrase this and put it in a different way. We do know that Kayshon Boutte bet on himself a lot like what Pete Rose did against Florida State in 2022. Well, there's 5 other games and 5 other situations that he bet LSU on. The first question that I had was, because of the play that Kayshon had last year, did he do something to affect LSU? Did he? Did he? I don't even really want to say it, but I think what a lot of you are asking, did Kayshon Boutte shave points? And if he did, and LSU was only made aware of it in July, they did not know. And I do believe that they did not know. Because, and we'll get to that reasoning why in a minute. I want to know what happened with those other 5 bets that he placed. Because if he is shaving points, I hope he's not. Guys, I hope he is not. But man, if he was, that is so awful. Like this, that is so awful. Here's another thing. Because this is in the affidavit. This is in the warrant, okay? In the warrant, and I'm just reading what's in the warrant, okay? Like, this is not Blake Ruffino reporting. He used an account that said at Kayshon Boutte 01. Guys, that is so unbelievably crazy. So unbelievably crazy. Why would you put that on there? You really don't think that FanDuel, who has a bet on you, when there's an at Kayshon Boutte, is not going to ping where you're making bets from and follow that closely? That is how they make money. Look, what I'm about to say, I'm just going to briefly touch on. I am a parent. I have no idea if his mother had any idea, or maybe he stole her credit card or used her credit card, used her information. Maybe she was in the dark on this. I don't know. But man, how does she not know of a credit card that's in her name that I would assume, okay, she just had a credit card when you're going to, like, guys, all my credit cards are right here on apps. Like, I mean, I see all of my credit cards and how much is on the card, how much I monthly have to pay if I do have to pay. I actually pay all my bills through a credit card, then pay it right back to gain credit. Maybe some of you should do that. It helps you with your credit. How do you not know that you have a $132,000 debt out? And it's not like he paid any of it back. Because he paid none of it back off that credit card. Now, let me back up. Maybe he did. Maybe he was using other things to pay that off. But he never withdrew anything when he placed that FanDuel or put $132,000 or whatever it was in that account. And I just got to tell you, how much in NIL was he making for having $132,000 laying around? Now, I'll give my man this. I'll give him this. Dude plays some serious bets, and dude, I'm just telling you that him putting in $130,000 and netting $500,000 is ridiculously amazing. Most people that are degenerates and that gamble for a living on sports aren't that good, especially in that time frame. But here's the thing that really gets me. The thing that gets me the most on this Kayshon Boutte thing is not that he was placing bets. To some extent, the money and the amount of money, the $132,000, because of the age that we live in NIL, actually isn't what surprises me. Can I tell you what surprises me? That he made over 8,900 bets in the time frame of August of 2022, or excuse me, May of 2022 until parts of 2023. Guys, that's over 684 bets a month. That's about 8 bets a day. That is unreal. This man had to be betting his ass off. Like, he had to be betting on everything. And by the way that he was winning, he was doing something right. I mean, he won a lot of money. But 8,900, guys, 684 bets a month is ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous. How does this affect LSU? I don't, guys, I honestly don't know. I really don't. I would assume that LSU is the NCAA will notify LSU. I really don't even know what they can do because LSU did not allow this. LSU is not going to allow that. This isn't like a recruiting violation. This isn't a violation that the team or the university did. This is something that the kid did. And quite honestly, if it comes out that Kayshon Boutte was shaving points, I think it gets LSU in the clear. I just don't know how this can be turned on LSU because look at Alabama baseball as an example. I mean, Alabama, their investigation was on. They hit the coach. They gave him a show cause, all this kind of stuff. Got fired, can't come back to college baseball. I just don't know what you can do to LSU. I don't think fans need to necessarily worry about if anything's going to happen to LSU. I really don't.